This is Marty with Marty's Diesel, and today's video is going to talk about which fuel system you should put on your old body style truck that still has a selector valve. We offer two kits specifically in this segment. The first is going to be the Bosch, and the second is going to be the Walbro. The Bosch pump is the same one that came on the 99 to 03 style Ford, F-Series trucks. It's very, very reliable, but it is also low power. So typically our customers with bone stock injectors with no, plan of upgrading or doing anything bigger injector wise, you can choose either pump setup, but the Bosch is probably the best pump for you in that scenario. In the event that you are considering injector upgrades and maybe you're a little wishy-washy on, which injector you want to go with, maybe you choose the Walbro, maybe you choose the Bosch, and I'm going to give you some things that, will help you determine that. In our experience, in our testing, pulling through the selector valve, a 180cc injector with a 30% nozzle, the Bosch has been able to keep up for daily driving needs. But for the guys that are going wide open throttle for like 10, 12, 14, 15 seconds at a time, sled pull and drag racing in the hottest tunes, that fuel pump does not keep up in our testing, okay? That's where the Walbro comes in. Now, if you're running 200cc injectors or even bigger, the Walbro is the only one that's even coming close to keeping up. Okay, we've ran the Walbro in a 250cc, injector truck without issue. But there is a caveat. At the beginning of this video, I talked about maintaining a selector valve and still pulling through a selector valve. Roughly around the 200cc mark is when the selector valve becomes too much of a constriction and you've got to get rid of it. So if you want to run something larger than 200cc, we really recommend that you go to a single tank conversion or, whatever else. But that's for another video. That's not for today's video. Today's video is which pump to choose when you're keeping the selector valve. Realistically, the Walbro can handle, like I said, 250s, but with the stock selector valve in place, we typically limit it to 200cc injectors, but it can also be run on stock injectors. There's nothing wrong with that. What I will say, though, is between those two fuel pump assemblies that we sell, that because the Bosch pump sucks less, literally, sucks less fuel, it typically can live in a less desirable environment than what the Walbro can for a longer period of time. This helps it with its reliability. It's actually one of the reasons why 7.3s in general are so reliable. They don't make a lot of horsepower. Okay, look at the trucks that are available today, making 2 and 3 times the amount of horsepower from the factory. Yes, they're not as reliable, but they don't make as much power. So what I typically tell my customers is if you've got stock injectors up to 180s, either pump will do just fine. The Bosch is probably the most reliable pump ever put on any Ford pickup or any pickup in general. So if you want to run that one, that'll be just fine. But just understand that if you want to go bigger than the 180s, you really need to consider something else. And maybe you consider one of our dual Bosch kits or our dual Walbro kits. But once again, that's another video, not today's video. So it doesn't matter which one of those fuel pumps you choose from us that are for 180cc or smaller, but if you have 180cc injectors and you plan on sled pull and drag racing, or you have 200s and you plan on sled pull and drag racing, I typically tell people that if you want to keep the selector valve in both tanks, you've got to run the Walbro. The Walbro is a great, kind of one-size-fits-all style fuel pump because it fits such a wide variety of size of injector trucks. Whereas the Bosch typically is limited to the 180. Now, like I said, we can combat that by adding another Bosch into the system, but we do not use dual Bosch kits pulling through the selector valve. Our Walbro kits, just so you know, they do come with one free replacement because it doesn't matter which one of these fuel pumps that you buy from us. If you're using a factory selector valve, I do not warranty the fuel pumps, period. Once you get our fuel kit, if you have a fuel pump issue and, it's something, like 300 miles, 3,000 miles, 30,000 miles later, you call in, you're going to be buying another fuel pump anyway. Let me touch on that for like a second here. We sell those fuel pumps that are genuine OEM for the cheapest that you will find those fuel pumps on the internet, and they come plug and play with a little electrical connector on them. You may find a bare pump that does not come with the plug or does not come with the securing nuts or, whatever, on the actual pump cheaper somewhere else, and maybe it's OEM, but if you do possibly find that, it's only going to be marginally cheaper. I do not sell the fuel pumps aftermarket or after the sale, I should say, to make a profit. I simply have them made available to my customers at the lowest possible price, literally typically what I have into them by the time it's all said and done. I don't sell them to make money. I sell them to basically support you guys. Like, if you need another fuel pump, here it is at the cheapest possible price. If you were to go down to like your local Napa, O'Reilly's, Advance Auto and buy like a Bosch pump, I've got a customer that just did it last week. He paid $189 and he had to switch the plug and it didn't come with the nuts. He paid $189. Right now on our website, we sell them for $125 and it comes with the plug that matches up to our fuel system, which, by the way, our pumps have always been interchangeable. So if you buy a Bosch right now and you decide to put 200cc injectors in your truck and you want to put a Walbro in its place, no big deal. Now you need one fitting and the pump will plug and play. Let's say you've got stock injectors and you bought a Walbro kit years ago and you just want to get away from the Walbro and you want to put a Bosch on. You need to put one different fitting on the inlet side and then it's plug and play. So you can literally swap the plug or swap the pumps out very, very quickly, oftentimes with either one or two tools. There's a lot of guys that have been online that talk about how, like, the pump assembly that we have is in line and it looks like it would be a pain in the ass to change a fuel pump. It's not. It literally takes minutes at most, especially with our newest billet bases. I mean, we're talking 2 adjustables, tops is all that you need in order to change these things out. And it does not take that long. In fact, because it's plug and play, that actually makes our fuel pump the fastest to change out of every one that I've tried. And I've tried them all because we have them come through the shop. Okay. I have a video as well from years ago of a pre-pump problem where we changed out a fuel pump for a customer. It took longer to do that than it did to change any one of the fuel pumps in our fuel system. Anyway, getting back on track here. So we typically tell people, the Bosch pump is the best for stock injectors, small injectors, never, a truck that's living at wide open throttle. The Walbro will handle stock injectors and gives you room to grow, and it comes with a free replacement pump. And it's not because I don't have, confidence in the Walbro. It's just the fact that I buy thousands of Walbros a year and I get a much better price point on them than I do the Bosch. And on top of that, I'm able to offer both of those fuel pump assemblies at the same price point. In the past, some people said, well, buy this one or that one because of the price. It doesn't matter anymore. It's the same price. Not only do I not have, it's not that I don't have the confidence in the pump, but like I touched on a little bit earlier, I believe, the Walbro is not going to live in an undesirable situation as long as the Bosch. And I'm going to touch on that real quick. If your selector valve decides one day that it wants to pull fuel from one tank and then return it to another, it's most often due to debris getting caught in the feed side of the selector valve. When that happens, you can actually experience an overpressurization. You hit 120 or 140 psi of fuel pressure. Not only is the pump going to fail, but most likely my fuel pressure gauge is going to fail on your truck as well, which is another reason why once your fuel pressure gauge is installed, we do not warranty it. It worked before it went in, and they're, relatively inexpensive utility gauge. If you drop it and it doesn't work, well, then we need to get you another one. It's right on our website. They're $28 right now. No big deal. Okay. Once again, just like the fuel pumps, we sell them with little to no markup. I don't sell those things to make money. I sell those to be supportive to my customers. Okay. It's not that I don't have confidence in the Walbro as to why I send out the free replacement. It's because if it fails because you hook up the lines backwards right away, I don't feel like you having to call me and then get a pump overnighted, or having to call me and then I have to send you out, another replacement pump. I don't want you to have to go down to the local store and try to find a Walbro or try to find another pump. The Bosches are a little bit more available locally, but you got to be aware there's a lot of knockoffs and there's a lot of aftermarket versions of that Bosch pump that you want nothing to do with, okay? But the Walbro is typically more of a performance pump, and typically you've got to call in either me or Summit or Jegs or something like that to buy the pump. And that is, in a nutshell, why we send out a free Walbro with every single one of our sales. Okay, somebody one time, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, something had said something about, like, maybe I should put my money where my mouth is when I talk about how I support the Walbros. To be honest with you, we've been giving a free replacement Walbro for a long time now. In fact, when that comment was made, we were already doing that. So I am putting my money where my mouth is. My customers are getting the absolute best system, the best setup, the best customer service, and it really comes down to they have to hold up their end of the deal, their end of the bargain. What they need to do is make sure that they don't have a pre-pump concern. And that's one of the reasons why our fuel system is the only one on the market that offers a vacuum gauge that monitors the tank scenario. I'm not talking about when to change the filters. I believe Diesel Site sells like a Donaldson vacuum air filter or fuel filter minder. But that's different. That's for when to change your fuel filter. Mine is to monitor your selector valve and your dual tank health. Okay, we're the only kit on the market that does it. We don't require that the customer goes to a single tank conversion, because we believe that with a little bit of education, that our customers who are installing this stuff, they should be able to identify whether or not they need to do something pre-pump. So that's about it for today. I'm actually running a hair late to run into the shop here. We got a whole bunch of orders from this past weekend that I got to get shipped out. But hopefully, today's video kind of helps you decide which fuel pump to get. Don't really know what else to say besides that right now. I got to do another video that talks about the fuel lab and stuff, but that's going to be for a later date. Thanks for listening. See you now.